Oh, I didn't know.
You just see white gray.
What do you want me to do?
No, I just want white.
Oh my God, I just assumed that nobody was seeing.
That's the worst. Yeah. So you know. But it's
Like we're late to class,
So when you didn't.
Danielle. What? Heather always so good supplying everything.
There he is. Fantastic.
Hi y'all, good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right, if you're here for the very first time and you don't mind being introduced, please introduce yourself. If you'd rather not be introduced and be incognito, I'm okay with that also. Are you new back in that back row? You're not? Anybody here the first time want to be introduced? Oh, please do. Stand up and introduce yourself, please.
How you doing? My name's Eli Stanga. I just got my real estate license and I'm new here.
Let's give him a hand, yay! Anybody else here for the very first time, then we'll introduce. Come on in, come on. Anybody here for the very first time? Welcome, Jennifer Rebecca team. We're glad to have you all here. Wave your hands. Jerry team, wave your hands. Jerry team, glad to have you guys here. Anybody else here that I need to introduce? Then let us move on. Tell me something good. Tell me something good that's going on this week. Well, listen, what are you doing for 4th of July? That's a better question. Rusty, what are you doing for 4th of July?
Absolutely nothing.
I like that. What else? Anybody else? Yes.
I'm with the Daughters of American Revolution. We're walking the Marietta Parade. Y'all come on out.
I love it. For that. I love it. And DAR, I love DAR. It's great. Most of you know what DAR is. Yes, sir.
I dropped my in-laws off at the airport this morning and they're gone for a month.
Yay, how about that? Yay. Congratulations. Well, last night I agreed for my grandsons to stay the first week. They tricked me. And I'm paying for them to stay. What kind of deal is that? Yeah, I'm loving it. We're having fun, guys. They'll be up in a few minutes. Anybody else? Anything good they want to share? Some good news? Yes. Good news. Anybody selling real estate this week?
Yes.
All right, tell me what you sold. What'd you sell? Anybody sell something this week? What'd you sell?
I have 2 listings under contract and I'm negotiating 2 more.
Say it one more time.
2 listings went pending and 2 more we're in negotiations.
I love it. That is great news.
And I pick up a new buyer.
We thought you could sneak in here. Come on. Hey, let's stand up and introduce yourself. Come on.
Hi, my name is Erica Phillips, and I'm new.
Erica, come on. Erica, one more time, Erica. Come on, I'm gonna make you do this, Erica. Stand up, Erica. Come on, Erica. All right, Erica, tell them what you're currently doing, okay? This is incredible late. Tell them what you're currently doing. You can sit. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Tell what you do. Does that make you feel better? Tell them what you're currently doing.
Like,
Airport.
okay, I was just trying to make sure. I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and I work for Delta.
So she's at the airport also. She does security out there, guys. So can we give Erica a hand? Welcome her. And yes, if you don't volunteer, I will embarrass you, but that's what I'll do. Anybody else here for the very first time that I have introduced?
We got one right here. She's being shy.
Jayla, our function introduces Jayla.
Yes. So I have one more. So Eli and this is Chanel. She's gonna be joining the office. She came in, interviewed yesterday. She's a college student at Kennesaw State. And she's got her license, but she's going into her junior year, and so it's an amazing opportunity. So we're happy to have you, Chanel.
Jill, welcome! Yay! All right, let's move on. Our partners. This is one of my favorite partners. Come on up. Come on,
Your
come up, come
favorite
up.
attorney partner, right?
Good
My
morning,
favorite
everyone.
closing attorney partner. How about that?
That's right. Good answer, good answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Carrie with Thomas and Brown. If we've not had a chance to meet, as you can see, we have some church fans around in case you get hot. Modeled by yours truly back there. That way you can be fans with us all the time. So we have a couple of things coming up. Our CE class for July is gonna be Sizzling Steps. So we're gonna talk about all the available bar steps and ways to, we don't love when people write their own, but if you have to, like kind of a good way to look at that. We're gonna talk about the available bar steps. It's gonna be really good. I know that you guys did the mid-year changes last month with us. We did a Zoom and an in-person class. And it's been recommended and requested that we do another Zoom. So we're choosing the date for that just because our July class schedule is pretty full, but we have about 3 dates that we're gonna pick from, and I'll send them out to you guys as soon as possible because they are in effect, of course, as you know, as of the 1st. So we'll do that. And then if you are going to Mega Camp, I sent out an email yesterday. We're gonna do our event at the Thompson Hotel, and so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And if you've been to one of our events before, you know it's a lot of different KW offices that are represented, so it's fun. You guys can network and get to know people that you may have worked with and just didn't get to meet in person. So that's gonna be great. And then last thing, a lot of people requested the video Zoom, you know, like the recorded Zoom for the class. So what we're gonna do is create we're trying to think of the best way to get this to you guys. So we're gonna create a Facebook group that's gonna be private, where the video is gonna be posted for the mid-year changes. And then that way, you guys can be members, you can ask questions in there to Cheryl if you have any. You can kind of read other people's questions, you know, it'll just be a good place for that. So we'll send out the link to that, probably this afternoon, so you guys can join, we'll approve you. That way it doesn't get sent out to, you know, millions of people and people hijack our content. We don't need that. So that is that, and thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon at closing.
All right, guys, let's give her a hand. If you're in this room right now and you have not gone to one of our contract changing classes, you must go because they're significant. You need to go, and we're having them regularly. And Cheryl King is the best at teaching it, having fun, and making sure you guys understand it. So please, please, please get to one of our contract classes. Do that as soon as you can. We're doing them pretty regularly, so please sign up, okay? Next, we have Mega Camp Mixer.
No. Danielle's got it. Danielle's got it with Silverton.
Come on, Danielle, come on up.
Danielle?
I'm Danielle Delinky with Silverton Mortgage. Bree couldn't make it this morning, he's running a little behind, so it's just me. We have an update on our Silverton Foundation stats from May. So if you're not familiar with the Silverton Foundation, every loan that we do, part of the proceeds go to our foundation that help families with sick children in hospitals pay their rent or mortgage payment. So we love to give back and we appreciate your referrals. And this is the outcome of May and, you know, our goal for the rest of the year. We also have a class coming up, mark the calendar, August 7th. We're doing a 1031 exchange class and we will provide lunch and snacks.
And rates right now are about 7 still?
Rates are up a little bit this week. I think because of the debate, there's a little bit of, you know, reaction, insecurity.
So blame the rates on the debate.
I don't know.
I like that, then. I like that.
They've gone up this week. We always recommend using the app, Mortgage News Daily for updates on rates. They'll give you, the national rates.
Cool. Any questions of Danielle at all? Any questions of Danielle? Let's give her a hand, y'all. Thank you all so much.
And I would like to point out, these are sunscreens and you pop, don't twist.
Yes, thank you to Heather for.
So, just a little sunscreen for your little holiday this weekend, Fourth of
Yeah, I
July.
like that. Good timing on that. I like that. Our wonderful sponsor, Residents of Space America, Wellness Breakfast. Come on out. Come on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you guys for having us. I appreciate it. Hope you guys got some donuts. I try to get fruit too, so it kind of balanced it out.
Wait a minute. She's not said something, I'm thinking, so donuts, can you balance out with having fruit?
Fruit, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
remember
in my
that.
mind.
I like that, I like it.
So a little bit about Residential Inspector America. Any of y'all use us right now? Yes, so I know there's a handful. So we have about 32 inspectors across the Georgia area, Metro Atlanta area, and we do same day, next day report, same day report guarantees, same day, next day inspections. As long as you call before noon, we'll get out there that day or the next day. And then there's a lot of other things that we offer that a lot of other inspection companies don't. I was an agent for 10 years, so I also understand loyalty to other inspectors. But we would love if you guys gave us a try. These are some books, I'm gonna have them in the back. It's the Buyer and Seller Guides to Home Inspections, and it has a little place for your business card. And it's just a whole book about inspections. It's great. People love this and come and want these by the pound. So I'll have a couple back there. And then when we're done, if you guys will just put your business card in here, I have a thing, I won't do it right now, so you guys can get on with your meeting. But put your business card in, and then I'll do a little drawing at the very end. And when you guys want to come see me out there. Thank y'all for having me.
Let's give her a hand, y'all. Listing Hustler with Kelly Allen. Now you all, Kelly is like a master at this, on how to do listing consultation. She is very good at it. So guys, please put that on your calendar. And for ones of you that think, well, I know how to do listings, well, you may learn something from Kelly. She does it very, very well. So guys, come. This is happening tomorrow, July 3rd from 11 to 12. Come listen to Kelly. And so guys, that is tomorrow, and it is only live, right?
In person.
In person, exactly right, Josh. Well thought. So anyway, please do that. Post license Ignite. Now guys, and there are so many good things on here. That's why we continue to lead in so many areas, because even if you're in business for 10 years, you can come to one of these classes on lead generation or capturing more leads or negotiating, and you can learn something. Guys, it's going on right now. You're invited to come. It doesn't cost you anything to come unless you want a book, and that's about $45. $30. Thank you very much. So, yeah, that's going on right now. Pardon me?
It starts the 15th.
Is that correct? Starts 15. Thank you so much. Save the date. A bowling party. Who's been bowling lately? Oh, come on, y'all guys have bowling. It's fun. Okay, trust me, I do it all the time. So bowling party, July 25th at 6 p.m. Entry is $15 per person. Shoe lanes, pizza and soft drink, the whole thing. It's at the Bolero at Delp Road. Families are welcome. Please save this date. This is going to be a great party. You've not been bowling a long time. It is a lot of fun. Good news is it is inside, so we will not get burned up being outside at some party. So just guys, please put on your own calendar, 25th of July, 6 p.m. More to come.
Adrian's online. She wanted to say something.
Adrian, go for it.
Hey there, Jim, you did a great job with it, so thank you. Yeah, y'all sign up, go ahead, and it'll be lots of fun.
Anything else you want to tell us?
Well, there's a whole lot of things we have planned through the rest of the year, so I think I sent out an email yesterday trying to figure out how to do it in the KW thing, but I know Kimberly can help me with that, just to make sure y'all know what's going on.
Well, thank you so very much. We appreciate all your hard work. Adrian, thank you so much. A lot going on.
Absolutely.
Market Matters, join us. We're putting the Real and Real Estate Wednesday, July 31st, location in Sandy Springs. Guys, this is the raw sweep stats. Please put it on your calendar. It's not far away. It's just the city of Sandy Springs, which is 15 minutes away. The Studio Theater, guys. Please put it on your calendar. It'll be from 9 to 11:30, and you will learn a lot what's going on in the market. Different people are going to share what's going on in different markets, so please put it on your calendar and show up. I will be there. Lessons learned.
All right.
Jalen.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? That's good. So, I want everybody to stand up. Might be uncomfortable. This might be a little bit different. If you're online, you can stand up also. And what we're going to do, find somebody just to give them a hug. So,
I was gonna say.
we are the office with the most listings, but we wanna be the office with the most love also. You never know who needs a hug in the office, so you never know whose day you might have just made. In front of you, you may notice something different in front of you. I did put down a sheet just asking who do you know that we need to know. If you have any amazing referrals, we would love to be connected with them. We are actively looking to grow the office at a very strong rate, and we would love to get to know the agents that you know. For lessons learned, I took a look into Broker Metrics and I looked at our trailing past 12 months of production. So from July of 23 through June of 24. And to equip you all with some information where you can brag on your office about and knowing that we are the best, this is our story from the last year. So far in units of what was closed over the last 12 months was 1,777 homes. You all did that. And that's going from last July through June. And in volume, we closed $903,624,464. That's almost $1 billion in real estate that you all have sold over the course of the last year. So when you're telling the story about yourself as an agent, if you're on the team that you're on, but when you mention the office that you're a part of, you all are producers and you all are amazing. That's about 2,000 homes and $1 billion in volume sold in the past year. So you really deserve to give it up for yourself, and it's okay to brag on your office when you're outside. So I hope everybody has an amazing 4th of July, and just have a great week.
So guys, many years ago, I was at another company, named Jenny Pruitt Williams. Who remembers Jenny Pruitt Williams in here? Okay. Jenny's an icon. She owns Atlanta Fine Homes. Good lady. And Kay Evans, who is also an icon, she was the broker in that office before I came, and I came and replaced her because she left. And all of a sudden, she decides to start this company called Keller Williams. I used to call Keller who? So anyway, and then I met this man named Bob Kalinsky. And he was a force of nature. When you meet him, he has this big personality. We've had him here for several things. And then fast forward, I meet, how many years ago, Anna? This person called Anna Kalinsky, and she is just the female version of Bob. I hope that's a good thing.
It depends on what we're talking.
Exactly right, guys. So anyways, Anna Kay is gracious to decide to come be with us today, so I'm going to be quiet and let Anna Kay come up. Anna Kalinsky, come on up. Anna has the Anna Kay team in town, and she also is the operating partner in the Southeast region. Did I get all that correct?
You did, and
Good.
I noticed over there that some of you guys can't see this little flip chart. I'd love to pretend I have all this knowledge stuck in my head, but when you learn from other people, you write things down.
Exactly right, yes.
But I have a couple of things to say. First of all, my man over here, good job leading the office with energy, and I feel like if you don't make it in real estate, which I feel like it's too far gone now, you would be a great auctioneer. Your energy is popping today. I heard people talking about that in the back. I just want to congratulate you all for being here. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous because you're in the business of selling real estate and changing people's lives, but it is a holiday week. And I think we all know there's a lot of people in this industry that always look for excuses to not have to do something. So the fact that you all are here today says a lot about who you are and the kind of businesses you run. We're gonna have some fun today. I went recently to Gary's mastermind. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my background and then tell you why Jim asked me to stand up here. And I also just want to tell you, I appreciate y'all's grace. I was scheduled to talk with you a couple weeks ago. And it's not often that I can't get out of bed, but I literally texted you at 4:30 in the morning and said it's not happening today. And my counterpart, Dawn Kazdasu, y'all might have seen her come by the office, stepped in last minute and took over, which I'm really grateful that we have a great team. So, Jim is right. My name is Anna Kalinsky. I've been with Keller Williams since 2006. So you guys might have a little perspective that I've gone through some different markets, seen a lot of things in the last 17, 18 years. I was the daughter who didn't want to be known as Bob's daughter, so I started the Anna Kay in-town team because I didn't want to be Kalinsky. Not that I wasn't proud of the last name, but I wanted to find my own way. And in doing that, I really just didn't pay attention to the fact that our company had a bunch of models. I just wanted to do it my way, and I had very consistent growth, but nothing explosive. And I know y'all probably talk about E2P. In fact, there's probably a chart back here that talks about going from being very entrepreneurial to purposeful. And so today we're gonna talk a lot about models, but I'm gonna give you a curveball. The time that I've had to spend with Gary in the last couple of years, I think I had the opportunity to earn the right to be in his room maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. And he has a quarterly mastermind where it was 100, now it's 200, and I think now it's a little bit different where you have to hit a certain GCI level. But what happens is you get in this room, and it's not but twice this size, and it's Gary's best people. And what I love about Gary is that Gary, even though he knows a lot, he shows up and he tries not to be the smartest person in the room. Because the people that are bringing the knowledge, he likes to stay grounded with what's happening in the real estate industry, even though he hasn't sold a house in probably 40 years. He's literally so relevant because he's talking to his best people. And so what Gary has really mastered is models. And I'm gonna throw y'all a curveball today because we're gonna talk a little bit about business, but honestly, Gary spends a lot of time talking about philosophical things. And I think it's really important that we get sort of in line with who we are as people in this industry and our own roles and why we show up every day to do what we do. So hopefully, by the time we're done, you might have heard one thing that hit your tuning fork in the right way that's gonna inspire you to show up either differently or better, either in your personal life or in your professional life that will literally change the course of your life. A lot of things that you all are bringing to the table, and I want to point out something and remind you all, Keller Williams has always been a training and consulting company. I know we went through this phase where we're not clear on our identity, and we were a technology company for a minute. We have great technology, but at the end of the day, we are a training and consulting company. And the classes that you all are offering here, a listing class, a 1031 class, who's been through a 1031 class? Okay, if you're not all raising your hand, you're telling me that you're not in the business of building wealth for yourself. And I know right now we go out, we get training and consulting, we equip ourselves to help other people big lives, but are you building your own big life? And I think probably halfway through my career, when I recognized that there was a model for doing anything and everything in this business, and I started applying that to my personal life and kind of casting the big why. And we talk a lot about big why very philosophically, but really it felt like a song and dance until I really connected with what that was. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some models that Gary kind of puts in place that have inspired me to do the same for my life. We're gonna talk about some decision-making algorithms regarding like our values. And then we're gonna kind of walk away with a little bit about how we're approaching the market and how can we finish out the rest of the year so we're making sure that we're hitting our goals personally and professionally. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
And I would love for this to be interactive class. Nobody wants to hear their voice for an hour, so if you've got a question and you're like, what did you mean by that? Or can you expand or give me an example? I'm happy to unpack that, so just slow me down. So who's ever taken Quantum Leap or who's ever heard of Quantum Leap? Okay, so a couple of you all. For those that have not been, does anybody not know what Quantum Leap is? Okay, new to the business? New to Keller Williams? So Quantum Leap is a class that Gary literally wrote. And I just got the privilege of coming back from Austin. I took my 18-year-old nephew. He does this session for young adults between the age of 18 and 25. But there's also QL, Quantum Leap for adults. And I believe actually Gary's doing it in September. I need to look. If you've never stood in a room with Gary where he talks about the Quantum Leap principles, it will be a life-changing experience. And what Gary's mastermind is really these little mini sessions of Quantum Leap. We talk a lot about the market, state of the company, we talk about tactics, listing presentations, buyer agency, how to command your fee, how to talk about your value proposition, all those things get talked about. But what we come away the most is this directional feeling that we have that when we leave the room, we're not just full of information, but we're full of direction. And Quantum Leap is literally a class that was written for us by Gary that allows you to have a model for your life. We talk a lot about 411s and 135s, and all those things are really meaningful in how you put it into practice. But if you don't start those planning sessions out with your big why or your mission statement for your life, a lot of us write mission statements for our business. How are we going to impact our clients and our customers? But what's the world gonna feel like when we sell more real estate? Do you have a mission statement for your family? Do you have a mission statement for your personal self and how you wanna show up in the world? So when we leave these things with Gary, we feel more inspired, and it's not just more talking heads around business. And so my goal today is to leave you all with some questions that you don't answer in class because they're really big questions, but that you can take a list home and you say, okay, I'm gonna spend some thinking time in the morning when I get up and the sun, I don't know if you guys are early birds or not, but if you have thinking time, maybe it's on the weekend, maybe it's in the morning. I don't know if you've ever read Keith Cunningham's book, The Road Less Stupid, but he builds in thinking time into his schedule, because a lot of the world impresses on us that we have to do things now. We have kids and we have camps and we have houses to sell, but thinking time is literally one of the most important things that you can build into your schedule. So if you start to anchor your day either on the front or the end with some thinking time, and you start to ask yourself these big questions, you will start to discover that your life, the quality of your life, is in direct proportion to your ability to ask yourself quality questions. Did y'all get that? The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of quality questions you either ask out in the world or you ask yourself. So, what's a big life? Who can describe what a big life is for me? For you? Who's thought about that for themselves? Who wants to be brave this morning? We got fireworks on Thursday. Y'all step it up. Yes, sir.
So, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and it's more, it's not business related, it has changed. It's more about family and people around me and my impact on them. And what I get back from that is unbelievable.
Are you just haphazardly just donating your time to people and family, or do you have a plan around that?
I have a plan around it.
Okay, tell me what that looks like.
So I have a pretty big group of people that I'm lucky enough to call really close friends, and a lot of people don't have that. More than one, probably 20. And I make sure that I call each one of them every month and touch base, because like you're saying, we got so much going on with kids, right? And my age group now, our kids are getting older and they're out of college, and we want to kind of direct them, but at the same time, they got to be them. And so I really make it intentional. And then on the charity side, I try to do one or two big things a year.
Yeah.
Like last year, with the golf event and stuff.
I love that. Well, I love that you thought through that. I think sometimes people live at the whim of the elements, right? If you don't have purpose and you don't have vision for where you're headed, you will literally be subject to what life throws at you. That's true for your day, that's true for your years, that's true for your life. So love that you're going through this change or reprioritization of what's important to you. And for some people, in my 30s, I was all about wealth building. I didn't have kids until I was 37 and 39, so I was all in on business. But I knew at some point that was going to be a platform for what was going to happen for my family. And now that I'm closer to 50 than I am 40, I'm starting to think about different things. Like, work is still important, but I am also not my job. I was Anna Kalinsky, the realtor, for 15 years, and I realized that my identity rose and fell on the quality of my business. And that's not a good feeling, because when the market shifts, what does that tell Anna? She sucks, okay? So a lot of this build our identity because we're very public facing. We've got our, where's Paige Morgan? She's not here today. Paige on every bus stop. So I saw it driving in from the interstate, and I love that for her business. But if Paige feels like she is her business, then she doesn't leave room for the quality of the other things that are a priority to her. So let me walk you through some models. Gary says a big life is only built on big models. So, who listens to the MREA podcast? Okay, so Jason Abrams did, this is like probably one of the first 5 episodes. It was actually last New Year's Day I listened to this. And Gary rolled through these 10 questions that Jason kind of unpacked for everybody. And we're gonna ask some different questions today, but some of them were, if we're starting with the end in mind, what does it look like at the end of it all? Not to get morbid, we're all gonna die, but if you're looking back, we're lucky enough to choose, we don't really get to choose when we die, but if you're lucky enough to have a vibrant, long life, and you're looking back and you're reflecting on everything you're doing now, what regrets are you trying to avoid? It's a big question. It's a big question. What regrets are you trying to avoid? The reason I ask that is because we get into this place where we feel like we should do things. We should be in this meeting, which I'm glad you're here. I'm not trying to talk you in or out of meetings or trainings, but I want you to get in alignment with why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you're not clear on that, you're just gonna be haphazard about it all. So Jerry says, what regrets are you trying to avoid? And what does your life look like in 10 years? So Gary gave us the 4 models. Who can tell me what the 4 models are? We actually have 9 models, but you guys should know about 4 at a minimum. What are our 4 models in this organization?
You talk about like the economic budget.
Yep, boom. Economic, budget, Legion, org.
Organization.
Yep. So those should be the 4 cornerstones of your business, but are you building a model for your personal life too? Our friend in the back was talking about how he methodically calls the people that are most important to him once a month. Probably on your 411, because that's how we build it out. It's not just business, it's also personal. So Gary, he talks a lot about he's got some grandkids, and his number 1 goal for his personal life is to become fun pop. Not grandpa, but fun pop. And in order to fulfill that version of what he wants to be in life, he has to know what the cornerstones of being like a fun pot is for him, right? So he knows that he needs to have certain feelings when he's with his grandchildren. He needs to take them and create rituals for how he's gonna spend the time with him. So if you've got children, or you've got grandchildren, or you've got nieces and nephews, or brothers and sisters that you've lost that bond with, are you creating rituals around the people that are the most important to you in your life right now? Isn't it amazing that the top 200 people in this company get together and talk about this?
Why is that amazing?
Because I don't think a lot of leaders put people first. And I think this company is really about the person. I think the company is only here because of the people that we build and the rooms that we get to be in because of the people who are building the lives that we have. And I feel like a lot of times you get into a business meeting, you're talking all about business, but if you're not defining the things that matter to you, then the creation that you have for your business, if you became the most successful real estate agent in the city of Atlanta, but you're not full of joy, does it matter? So it blows me away that Gary talks about this. So Gary also wants to live to 100, and he picked 100 because it is like literally the cornerstone of a long, vibrant life. And he builds his models of his nutrition, his sleep, his muscle building around the goal of I want to be 100, and I want to have a lot of money when I'm 100, I want to be healthy when I'm 100, and I want to have my wits about me when I'm 100. So the models that he builds around his personal life are all in alignment with, will this help me live to 100 vibrantly in a way that I have a mental capacity with the people that I'm surrounded with that I love? So it's not haphazard, it's completely by choice. Okay, so how do you build a model? In order to build a model around your business life or your personal life, you need to understand what's important to you or to your business, right? So we talk a lot about business, but today we're gonna kind of focus a little bit more on this personal aspect. You need to build a bunker around the things that you value the most and that allows you to maximize in spending your time on the things that you value. So for me right now, that's kids. I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. I say this just as I kicked one of them out of the house for 2 weeks to go to camp. However, my bunker time around that is my goal to build young, independent men that have a place in this world, that know how to be self-sufficient, is a big priority for me. So I have a clear plan when I sit down and I plan my family schedule for the rest of the year. What am I gonna do with my kids to make sure that I'm telling them the things that they need to hear every night before bed? You know, and I work a 50-hour week, just like a lot of you all, 50, 80-hour weeks for some of y'all, and 20 hours for other, but I know that if I start my day and I end my day with my kids and I give them 20 minutes of uninterrupted time where I'm doing something that they wanna do and I'm making eye contact and I'm not on my phone, and I'm spending that one-on-one time with them, I'm building a ritual around the things that matter to me because I wanna have a relationship with my kids when they're adults. So I'm really clear about that. So you build a bunker around something that allows you to maximize the time and experience in each. And if you're not quite sure, then you find people in your life that have mastered the marriage that you wanna have, the faith that you want to embody, the friendships that you wanna mirror, the business that you wanna grow. But if you're not methodically handpicking the people that you spend your time with, you don't have a model for how you receive that imprintation, if you will. So who you spend your time with is going to be equally as important as the model itself, if that makes any sense. So what models are you building around a loving marriage, around epic family experiences, around financial freedom, right? Some people want to sell a lot of real estate and they want to make a lot of other people rich, but when they go on the listing appointment, they're asking, oh, am I gonna get this listing? Versus asking, do I want to buy this house? So what is the model that you have for building your own wealth and not just somebody else's? Do you have a clear plan? Do you know what enough is? So these are big questions that we're not gonna all solve in the classroom today. Do you have a model around your hobbies and things that bring excitement or personal joy in creating presence? We talked about thinking time, and some of you all might have a spiritual aspect to your life. I don't mean just religion, but the time that you spend with yourself, the time that you spend thinking about what's bigger than you. So Gary gives us 8 categories that I'm gonna write down, and I would love for you all to take this down and really spend time with your partner, your spouse, yourself, the people that are most important to you, and figure out what is the model for conquering a 10 in each of the aspects of your life.
Back 1 second.
Yes.
So you list a lot of property.
Yep.
How does it change your mindset when you go in thinking, do I want to buy the property or not? How does that change your mindset as opposed to, am I gonna get the listing? How does that change the way you think?
Well, I mean, the listing, if we get it, we have a certain amount of percentage based on what we charge that we'll receive at closing if we get the opportunity, right? After we pay expenses and taxes and all the things. The wealth building aspect is me asking, is this a house that I would wanna add to my monopoly board? And it will pay me bigger dividends by owning it than it would by me just earning a commission, right? So now I have cash flow. Now I have the ability to do accelerated depreciation. Now I have interest expenses and tax expenses. And I have somebody else paying into the equity every month. So even if I broke even and it didn't cash flow every month, debt, which is really important and crucial, is eaten up by inflation. So the longer we own the property, the debt becomes null because somebody else is paying it down. So in my mind, it's just a bigger investment than taking the listing. Does that make sense? So in order, I say, do I want to buy this house? Then I say, do I actually want to list this house? And then I say, do I want to work with this client? I don't even consider do they want to work with me. And they may not. I have had those too, but it's not, if I go in with the feeling of, I gotta get this listing, it comes from an energy of despair versus abundance. If I go, and by the way, if you're like, well, I can't buy that house right now, I don't have any money. Well, guarantee you, if you find the right opportunity, the money will show up. And you never know what a seller's situation is. We always think that the seller's biggest motivation is getting the best price. But I have one of my best investment properties that I got. It was a for sale by owner that I called probably for 4 to 5 months. And he's like, I'm not listing with an agent, blah, blah, blah. It was grossly overpriced. And I kept calling him. I said, listen, you're gonna get the most amount of money if you put it on the open market. You know, it's sitting out here 4 or 5 months. Why isn't it sold yet? He goes, well, you know, the right buyer will come along. It's a triplex in the old Fourth Ward, if you know where that is. by the Beltline, it's like riverfront property. But this was back in, gosh, I was probably pregnant with my first son, so this was probably in 2015, 16. And one day he called me and he says, Anna, I need to get this property sold. He's like, but I don't have time to list it. I need a cash buyer in 10 days or I lose 8 other properties. And I was like, man, that's heavy. And I wanted the listing because I was not gonna pay his price. But at the end of the day, he of course wanted the price he wanted, but he valued convenience and certainty over the price. So I think he was like asking like $375 for it. I ended up buying it with cash for $260, which by the way, don't buy houses with cash. Don't do as I say, not as I do. Buy it with leverage. You have more opportunities that way. But one of my best investment properties came from the fact that I was lead generating and then created an opportunity to solve a problem for him that was not getting him the highest price. It was relieving his pain, which was if I lose this house, I also lose 8 other houses. So I have to, because he was like a tax foreclosure and stuff like that. So just never go into the property thinking like, oh, can I get this listing? Will this seller want to hire me? If you change your psyche, you're gonna have a different experience in real estate. All right, so sorry for the sidetrack. All right, spiritual. These are Gary's categories in order of importance. Well, maybe not in order of importance, but this is how they came out from him. Okay, so spiritual, so this is gonna mean different things to different people. We won't go down kumbaya right here. But one of the things he asked, was I really, really love, and I have sort of adopted as my own way of describing to people what my beliefs are, is he says, are you a spiritual being having a human experience, or are you a human being having a spiritual experience? You don't need to answer that out loud, but think about the difference. One of us believes that this is kind of all that there is, and the other person believes that this is an experiment that we're living out, and it's part of a bigger spiritual experience. And I think a lot of those questions answered will help drive different models for you in terms of how you show up in your life. And one is not better or worse, it's just your personal belief. The second one is physical. Because can we all agree that we think we have everything under control until we get sick? Or your back goes out? Or you have a cancer scare? And if you don't have your body, and it's not in good shape, where are you gonna live? So the most important house that we need to take care of is our own, right? So the physical idea, and he says, look, sleep is the number one data point that affects your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. A lot of people discount sleep. They're like, I'm good, I can do it in 4 hours, watch. And they wake up and they drink Monster all day, and they're burning out their cortisol mechanism, and they're literally ruining their minds and their brains. So if you can prioritize sleep, you're gonna prioritize your mental health and your physical well-being. And then stress management. Sure, none of us need that. I also don't know how to spell stress, apparently. So stress management can come in a lot of different forms. Some people do this physically. They play tennis, they run, they do yoga. Some people spend quiet time or thinking time. Some people go and do cold plunges. Whatever that is for you, you need to know, how do I turn it off? How do I reset? This is a business, because we are entrepreneurial, that it is really easy to get burnt out. It is really easy to burn at both ends. And I did that for 15 years until I realized that I am not my business. And there's something bigger at play here. Third thing is building a model for your job or career. And this just means, how long am I gonna work? And how do I know how long that is? And how much do I need to make every year in order to make this work? And at what point is this not fun for me anymore? And I'm not trying to talk anybody out of real estate. I remember telling Gary, because he kept hammering, who are you? You know, that's the question he asked, who are you? And then at one point I raised my hands like, Gary, you're getting these people in alignment with who they are. Are you worried that they're like half of them are gonna opt out of real estate? Because some people might wake up and realize, I don't wanna do this anymore. But if you don't know why you're doing it, you're at a much greater risk of just punching versus having an alignment for impact or achievement or excitement or problem solving or people caring. But if you know those things about yourself, you're much more likely to have a reward in the job career category than just getting up to earn a paycheck every day and hope that you have another closing this week, and whatever that vicious cycle is not healthy. Lifestyle, really crushing the selling today. Who's seen The Shining? Great movie. Scared the piss out of me. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. Okay? Like, I get it. We're one with ourselves and the universe. We've got our energy, our cortisol's under control, we got great sleep, we're crushing the job. But if it's all work and no play, and you don't, life cycle? Oh my God, lifestyle. Y'all, I need another cup of coffee. No, I'm good. Lifestyle is so crucial, right? Like, get on the boat, go bowling, get out of your house for a minute, stop being such a curmudgeon and being in your little routine where you do the same thing forever and ever. Go do something fun and wild and crazy. And then bring the people that you love together. Create a lifestyle for yourself that brings you joy and happiness. Because without that, this does not matter at all. Hobbies, experience, and fun. Who likes to travel in here? Okay, general consensus. Hobbies. Also, I think hobbies are a form of spirituality. I like to cook. I don't get to do it very often. Do you ever notice that you have that thing that you do that, like, when you're doing it, you're just really not thinking about anything else and you're like 100% in on that? Yeah. And it's like really cleansing. That's cooking gumbo for me. You can't burn that roux, right? You gotta get in there for like 30 minutes. You're like, God, late. But you're all in on the gumbo, right? That's tennis for me. So if you don't have these things and you're all work and no play, again, you're gonna burn out. Do you have, okay, so I have spiritual, physical, job, lifestyle, hobbies, hobbies, 6, relationships. I'll admit this. I was, all in on work. I met my husband when I was 30. Yeah, so I was in real estate before I met my husband, and then 15 years, I've been in this business for 18 years now, but 15 years, like, full grind. And I completely deprioritized him. Now, he didn't mind, because he's my helper. Y'all know what curling is, the Olympics? You know, the guy that's, like, sweeping, like, in front of the curler, and then you got the curler. So the sweeper keeps the path clear so the curler can do its job at the most amount of speed. He was my sweeper. And he is my sweeper, and that's a good partnership, but the risk of deprioritizing your most important relationships, either your kids when they're young or when they need you when they're teenagers, or your spouse when you're all in on that, listing appointment on the weekend, or you're too tired to go on date night, you start to forget what your rituals are and what your goals are for your most important relationships. It's really easy in this business to minimize the people that support you to get you where you are. So just be aware that that's an important thing to build a model around. 7 is charity. I will tell you that the Southeast region has a goal of being the #1 KW Cares region in the entire company. And would it scare you to know that we're #2? We are the largest region by far in terms of agents. We should be the largest region by far in terms of giving. I have a person on my team whose son, who's now 13, has been battling leukemia since he was 9. And she took a $60,000 pay cut to come work on my team. and KW Cares is recouping about $38,000 of her cancer expenses for her son. Because who wants to have a son battle cancer? Who's got time for that? Anybody? But KW Cares helps our own. And I feel like we have a duty to give back to our people. There's probably somebody in your market center, if not already, I'm not sure if y'all ever had any grants, that's gonna need the help that KW Cares gives. And that may not be where you tithe, and that's fine, but I do think that we get more when we give on many levels. And I feel like anybody sitting in this room has enough to give. So figure out what that looks like for you in terms of, this could be time, this could be your servitude, this could be financial, it could be coaching and education, but there is a way to give back. And then, not last, but it's going to be financial. And I'm gonna flip this because I've got a really simple way. Do you want me all those? Yep. Okay, I've got a really simple way. Gary always asks, he kind of draws this. He says, do you work for money? It's the question I'll ask. And so this is when you're born, this is when you die. And he says, all right, so says, do you work for money? Some people just work until they die because they don't know what's enough. They just kind of like, this is like just what they do. And like, well, it's my identity. Like, I've sold real estate forever. And like, I'm going to just sell real estate because I don't really know how to exit the business. And like, I just will work till I can't work anymore. And it is what it is. And then some people work, let me think about this. This is like, I might have messed with my graph here. Let's just say this is 65, okay? And let's just say this is enough money. Okay? So he says some people work until they have enough money. Which means that they don't have anything. Like, those are the people that like literally retire. They just like, I'm done. And then I don't know if you know anybody in your life that's done that, where they've retired at whatever age, they've kind of reached their peak. But then they've given up something else. They've given up this ability to continue to learn and to continue to build on something, a legacy worth leaving, right? And so they get out of the business, they just get out. And maybe it's not the business, or they get their pension or whatever. But then they become generally just laissez-faire. Maybe don't have a lot of purpose or joy in their life. I'm not saying that retired people aren't happy. I'm just saying that there's not the next thing. My dad, when he retired, he refused to be called retired because he's gonna keep going until he dies because he loves what he does, but he called it a rewirement. I'm rewired. I'm now doing this because I choose to versus I have to. And guess who else is like that? Gary. Do you still work if you had $1 billion?
Probably.
Yeah.
Charity.
It's the love, right? So do you have the love? Are you gonna quit when you have enough, or are you gonna quit when you have a certain age because you should? So getting in alignment with like, what is your trajectory for your, what I would call freedom life? Right? You can still do what you want here, but maybe you still have purpose. Maybe you give back, maybe you teach, something like that. But in order to have that answer, you kind of need to know what your freedom number is. So I'm gonna give you a quick and dirty on how to come up with your freedom number. So your freedom number is like, what is enough? Like, if you understand what your burn rate is of your lifestyle every month, which by the way, when I was at Quantum Leap 2 weeks ago in Austin, and if you've ever been in one of Brett Tanner's masterminds with KW Wealth, he'll ask you to figure out what your burn rate is. Does anybody have like a really clear pulse on what their monthly burn rate is? You guys know what a burn rate is? So it's like, if I'm living my general life, like I'm not like skimping on the morning coffee, like I'm still getting my Starbucks, you know, send my kids to school, you know, I'm not living lavishly, like I'm not gonna go on some crazy spending spree, but if I need a dress for something, I buy the dress, right? It's just your normal rate of spending. Your burn rate is, what is that for your family? That's household, utilities, dog, education, This is separate from your business expenses, like you have business P&L, but then you have like a personal P&L. So your burn rate, you need to figure out, if I were to continue this quality of life that I have or that I wanna live, what is the number that I need in order to live, which is my burn rate plus whatever things I feel like I'm missing, right? So if you're not taking the vacation because that's been really difficult financially, or you know you need an extra, 30 grand a year to like take epic vacations with your family. You basically take your burn rate, you multiply it times 12, and then you buffer it for the things that you feel like would make you have like a really happy life, right? And if it's the yacht, then throw it in there, but that may not be your freedom number. So in order to get to your freedom number, it's a really simple calculation. So this is your primary residence. What does that cost you? Some of you might have a vacation home. This is not an investment property. This is just another property that costs you money. You have your living expenses. You have your vacation money. You have what you give to charity. And then you're gonna add all that up, okay? So let's say all this adds up, I'm just gonna throw this out here to 100 grand, okay? That may not even cover a month for some of y'all. Just kidding. Not just the rest. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Let's call it 100 grand, okay? So the bottom line is, and I'm having this conversation with my brother right now, it's like, Steve, I feel like I've done a really good job of accumulating rental property and I've made some investments in the stock market, but like these investments all have a rate of return. But if I needed to stop working and I knew what my freedom number was, how do I actually do the math that tells me how much I need in the bank generating a return to have the life that I want to live in passive income? Does that make sense? Okay? So municipal bonds typically pay at around 3.5%. So I'm just going to put MB. And these are not typically taxed at the federal level. So you're not typically paying income tax on your municipal bonds. So you basically need to figure out at 100 grand, if I had my investments earning 3.5%, what would generate 100 grand for me? And the number is 2.850. In the bank, generating 3.5% return to basically equal 100 grand passive income. Y'all follow me? So this is after tax. This is what I live on, not what I have to earn. Y'all follow me so far? So I want you guys to start thinking about, okay, well maybe that's 250 for some of you all. And that might feel further off than it seems, but I guarantee you start adding real estate to your portfolio, it's not as far off as it seems. Okay? So don't be threatened by these numbers, just use this as a baseline to like, okay, well I have 15 more years to work that I know that I want to put in if I'm healthy and vibrant. Or maybe I'm early in my career and I have 30 years to go do this. What is that going to look like for me in today's money? If you're not going to do municipal bonds and you're going to do something more like the stock market,
You want to go outside?
taxed at a 38% income rate on average. Everybody's a little bit different. And that typically earns about 8% invested in the market. Y'all follow me so far? Okay. That number is about 2,161,229. Follow me there?
Yeah, what about an online savings account? You get a 5% return on an online savings account.
Well, you still pay income tax, so you would back into that using 5% here and 38% here. So it probably would be a good bit more, right? I love an online savings account up to $250. Then everything else you need to put in the market. In fact, let me edit that. I love an online savings account for 6 months of your burn rate. And then the rest should be in some sort of investment, whether that's real estate, municipal bond, or invested in the market. Now, I'm not a wealth advisor, so don't just leave it at that. These are basic numbers, right? But again, a lot of people work and they start accumulating like the little squirrel for winter, and they just wanna collect more nuts. And then you build this big business and you're like, well, what's actually enough? Do I need to take 100 listings to have the life that I want? Or can I do it at 50? Can I sell a higher price point and take off some of the stress? So there's different levers that you can have in your business for that. Does that make sense? Let's talk about those levers financially. What are the 3 things that you could do that change what you earn in this business? You know what your levers are? What could you change to make more money in this business? This is a really smart group. I think y'all are just shy today. Throw out something. No wrong answers.
Create passive income.
No, what are the things that you could change in your business to make more money?
Sell a higher price point.
Higher price point. Alright, love that.
Write courses. I mean, there are a lot of experienced agents. I'm looking at Russell. You can write courses. You can coach.
That is definitely, that's an ancillary business.
Yeah.
Talking about for real estate sales, what are the 3 things you can do to make more money?
Sell
More appointments.
More
Sell more. Leads.
houses.
Yeah.
So more appointments to sell more houses, right? More houses. This third one should have jumped straight out at y'all.
Charge more commission.
Charge more
Charge
commission.
more.
Guys and gals, this is all about your menu of services through your value proposition. So when we're talking about our freedom number and what you need to get to in your business, not all cats are skinned the same way. You know, Gary Wright's a millionaire real estate agent, and he puts a bunch of averages in there, but there's probably an agent in here whose average is $375 and another one who's like $1,375,000. So your economic model for your life, driven by the business that you're running, is going to change based on the 3 things that you can impact. How do I get a better, higher price point? Well, you start to host open houses in the neighborhoods that are more expensive, for one.
So, and I have a question for you. A very wise man told me 30 years ago, Jim, you'll never get wealthy selling real estate. So you will never get, you cannot sell them, pay taxes, et cetera, so you've gotta have other sources of income. Do you agree with that? Because you see these people that have done real estate at a high level.
Yes, I think that selling real estate is a vehicle to make money, to make investments.
Yes.
So it's not, if you just sell a lot of real estate and then you hold on to your cash in whatever form that comes in, whether that's in a money market or a checking account or under your pillow for my preppers, you know, you're probably not gonna, you're gonna have very incremental net worth building, but let me also let a little air out of your balloon. Sorry. There's this thing called inflation. And inflation and cash are not friends. Inflation and real estate are great friends. Whenever you have debt, and again, I'm just kind of going off topic here, let's just say you have $100,000 in debt on day 1, and you've got it for 30 years. By the way, who's a fan of 15-year mortgages a year?
No.
Can I make a suggestion to adjust your mindset? It is better to borrow money longer from the bank. The bank wants you to borrow it shorter. It is in their interest for you to borrow it shorter. I thought I was cool buying with cash, and then I thought it was cool refining in 15 years. And then I realized that I was the one that was shooting myself in the foot. So debt is your friend in terms of real estate, because let's say you buy a house, let's call it 200 grand, or let's call it 120, okay? So you put 20% down. That's not exact math, but y'all get it. Okay, so you put 20% down, and you have 80% loan, or $80,000 loan. What happens to this house over time? What do you think this house cost in 30 years if you held on to it?
Depending on where it is.
Well, it's in Atlanta. Let's just throw out Atlanta. Okay. So then you just grew your equity by $400,000 by having somebody pay rent every month. And you literally doing nothing but paying off this note such that when 30 years goes by, it's at zero. But the bank doesn't get any more money back. Their note is stuck at 80. But you get the benefit of the appreciation of that $400,000 that the bank does not get. So the longer the note you have, and the less money you can put down that covers your expenses, that doesn't over leverage you as a human, is actually the best way to build wealth. I actually had this conversation with my nephew, because and y'all probably get this right off the bat. But if you had $100,000 and you could still buy a $100,000 house in Atlanta, and you could pick up that property with $100,000, would you do it? Cash.
No.
What would you do instead?
I would go find some more houses, maybe 3 more and
Five.
put little down payments on all
Yeah.
5 of those houses.
So the best interest rate is always at 25% down, right? For an investment property. But if you bought 4 houses, $25,000 down, that were all $100,000, that appreciated $500,000 in 30 years. Now you just made yourself a lot of extra money.
Yeah.
That $2 million we were
2
talking
million.
about on the last page, that's invested somewhere because now you own the house free and clear and it's just cash flowing for your return, right? That was not intended to be a wealth building class, but I feel the need to talk about this right now because a lot of us are in this business to sell a lot of houses, but I legit just want you to be rich. I think that's, rich and happy, I'll say it like that. How are we on time?
But the mindset right now is though, it's too late to buy a home house.
Absolutely not.
But I'm telling you, that's the mindset I'm hearing right now, it's too late. Why is that not true? Because they're all up 28%.
Do you all, I'm sure y'all have seen this graphic floating around that shows you the annual year-over-year, I think it's a 70-year picture of all the years in the last 70 years and how many years actually went down in value in the last 70 years. Do you know how many it is?
7 years,
So in the last 70 years, how many years did real estate actually go down in value?
that's 2017.
Y'all really close, it's 6. So if you're gonna buy a piece of property and you need to sell it in a year, maybe 1031, but you don't wanna do that when the economy is in shambles. Like, I don't know that I, in hindsight, would have bought in 2007, knowing that we were about to be on the verge of economic crisis. However, I bought in 2005. I actually showed my nephew the graph and I said, look, I bought this house in 2005 at the top of the market. Because I was at the top of the market. Did I lose money on my house?
No.
Own it.
No.
$350 then, it's $950 now, and it went through hell, twice. So, I think if real estate is intended to be a long-term vehicle for you, you kids going to college, do they need to pay rent? Get a 3-bedroom house, put your kid in there, have the other 2 kids pay them rent, pay you rent. You gotta pay for them to live somewhere, right? I just feel like we need to be thinking about this differently, right? It's one thing to build a business that makes a lot of money, but then you need to know what to do to preserve your wealth or grow your wealth. And I think these are topics that aren't talked enough. And if you're not sure where to start, KW Wealth is a great spot. I'm not here promoting any products for anybody. I just feel like Brett Tanner has built a really, really smart group and a lot of information around how to build your wealth. All right, so I want to talk about, do you have any questions about these models or the things that you need to be asking? How to build a model for yourself?
Why are you focusing on this rather than NAR settlement and
Y'all are
interest
probably
rates?
NAR to death, yeah?
Yeah.
Exactly. So why is Gary Keller talking about how you are emotionally? Why is he doing that rather than talking more about what's going on in the market? Because if y'all have not met Gary Keller, he is Steve Jobs for real estate. He's brilliant.
I think Gary has the perspective because he believes he's a spiritual being having a human experience. he looks at the business that he's built as the vehicle to the access of all the other things that life's gifts grant us. So if work is all you focus on, if building a big business is literally where your head is 100% of the time, you're not leaving room for anything else. So we can talk about the NAR settlement, we can talk about value squared, we can talk about how you charge commission. You guys are gonna get that. But what you're not getting all the time is the question on alignment, right? And like, am I doing it right? Like, I don't want you all to wake up 1 year, 5 years, 30 years from now and have the regrets that you could have asked yourself today, what am I trying to avoid? You know, on that podcast, Jason is talking about how Gary, I think they read that, I'm gonna butcher this story, but like they read The Regrets of the Dying.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this one story about this wife and her son who had just lost, you know, the boy's dad and the husband. And they wanted to remember him somehow. And so they were like, okay, well, let's go visit daddy. And they kind of decided they were gonna go visit daddy X many times a week or month or whatever it was. And every time they were gonna go, they were gonna bring something that reminded them of him to like commemorate him. So like the first week they went, like the little boy like brought daddy's wallet, like just the leather thing. And then the next week it was like daddy's watch. And then the next thing it was, you know, a letter that dad wrote. Then they quickly kind of like started running out of things to bring that reminded them of daddy. And finally the son goes, Mom, why don't you bring your cell phone? And she's like, oh, why does it remind you of daddy? She's like, well, because when you were with him, you were always on the phone. And that was like a big eye-opener for me, because like, how many times are we doing what we do, we're sort of like in our humanness, that we kind of forget to like zoom out and ask the bigger questions. What regrets am I trying to avoid? Okay, so I want you to write these questions down. These are the big questions besides the models I want you to build that I want you to ask and to continue to ask yourself. If you're not sitting down for like twice a year, maybe mid-year and like January 1 and like asking these questions, you're missing it. So these are some questions that can just get you to start thinking bigger. Are your fears or your faith driving you? Are your fears or your faith driving you? Some people make decisions because of what they're trying to avoid, and some people make decisions because they have a belief in abundance and they're moving towards what's drawing them in that direction. This one's a big one. Are you where you can be? You know you are where you are, but are you where you can be? And that's a big question, because some of us don't play at our potential. So I play a lot of tennis, and I recently had a pretty big shift in my game, because when you see me at practice or at drills, people will say Anna Klinsky's one of the best tennis players here. But when you watch me play a match, I completely suck. I mean, I like literally suck. I push the ball over the net, I push it, I don't hit it, I'm not free. I am playing not to lose versus playing to win. And the moment I realized that distinction, that I was gonna lose either way, I would rather lose playing to win than lose playing not to lose. You understand the difference? So like the outcome might be the outcome, but how do you wanna feel about it? And I tell my son that all the time, like he's swimming and he's also terrible at it. He's like in heat 12 in like 5th place, but he's in the pool. All I care about is that he does his absolute best. Because the moment you look around and you start comparing yourself to your peer or to Paige Morgan on her bus stop sign, you have allowed that person to rob you of your joy. So show up at your potential and be where you can versus being where is safe. That was a big aha for me. All right, this is really good for value. Are you leaning into your unfair superpower advantage? So I love this because we are not all created equal in the same way. I mean, we're all equal in terms of like the world we should be, but we're not the same. And there's a reason that we have unique thumbprints. What is your unique superpower? Is it feeling empathy for people's problems? Is it creating solutions that didn't exist before? Is it your personality? Is it the ability to connect people? What is the thing that literally, hands down, if you were in a room full of 100 people, they would be like, that's my guy for that. You need to figure that out, and then you need to build your life around that, because that is where you will feel most energetic, and is where you will make the most income, because it's something that's natural to you that you will excel at. And then you layer models into it, and that's when you go from E to P. This one's also really good, and I would love to hear your internal dialogue if anybody feels comfortable sharing. And I don't care if this is personal or professional. If you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear what you're thinking. What are the silly stories you're telling yourself right now? Who will share a lie that they're telling themselves so they know that they're lying to themselves?
I'm too old to start over. I'm too old to just go do what my heart's pushing me to.
You don't have a single wrinkle on your face. What are you talking about?
Well, it's the stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the stories.
Talk to Bob and Kay about that, right?
Right, exactly.
Kay started over 61. Really glad she did.
And I'm right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Take her to lunch. She'd be thrilled.
I will.
She'd be thrilled.
She's coming in 3 weeks.
Yeah, she'd be thrilled. She'll tell you everything. And by the way, she said no to opportunity for a long time until it kept showing up. Who wants to share a silly story they're telling themselves about the market right now? Or about the real estate world? What's silly? What are we telling ourselves?
Market's down.
In what way?
There's not enough houses, not enough agents selling houses, and so you can't create living around here because the market's down. And interest rates are too high, so no one's buying.
Okay. Don't believe that to be true?
No.
Oh, this is a smart group right here, isn't it? Yeah. Units are down. Yeah, we were at 6 million at some point, and I think now we're like 4.3.
Yeah.
But guess what? We also have a lot of agents enter the market, and we have a lot of agents that are leaving the market.
Yeah.
And they're leaving the market because they're the ones that won't seek out the solution to the story that they've told themselves. They won't ask, how do I create inventory? They won't ask, what is the way to position a buyer or seller to understand that their future pleasure or future pain is more important than the story that they're saying, well, I got a great interest rate now.
I've got a good friend that's, she's a Tom Ferry coach, owns a Remax franchise in Wichita Falls, Texas. She's told me for years, when the market's down, you're not looking to create new business, you're just looking to take business from other agents.
Market share, your unfair share. If the market dropped around us and your business stayed the same, what happened?
If the market drop and your business is the same, you're winning.
You're taking market share.
You're taking market share.
Correct.
Because it's the same.
Yeah,
But the
100%.
market itself has dropped.
So it's perspective, right? I remember when, and I tell this story a lot, like when COVID came around, who was selling during COVID? My COVID babies. Who got into the business in COVID? Who's like, I don't know what to do. The houses. You? Love it. So when COVID came down the pipe, everybody was saying, nobody's gonna sell their house. Nobody's gonna sell their house because who's gonna risk their life? I'm not putting my house in the market. Or how are you gonna put my house in the market? Like there was one of two stories, right? But then what were the agents saying to each other? Nobody's listing right now. Nope, they're waiting. They're just gonna wait. No one's listing right now. And so the narrative became no one will sell their house in COVID. The media said that, consumers said that, and the agents said that. Was that true?
No.
Okay, so what we started doing is every single day we started posting statistics on how many active houses came in the market, how many went under contract, and how many closed. Every single day. That was my story. Every single day for almost 8 months. Because what I wanted to tell the people was that it is not true. Because look at this number. It was never zero. It was never zero. So the idea that we tell ourselves these things, I'm too old to start over. I don't have the money to buy the house. I can't find clients because nobody wants to buy or sell. What is the opposite of that narrative that you could lean into? You gotta break up with that story. We talked about how much is enough money, okay? I want you guys to do that exercise. It's not hard, you don't have to get super detailed with it. Just figure out what your buckets are and then figure out what is the life I wanna live in today's value and start putting your freedom number up on the wall somewhere that you can see it, that you understand that in order for me to live the life that I wanna have, I need to start making choices today. And it might be as simple as, do I wanna buy this house? Okay? And then, are you living your future life today? People will be like, wow, she talks a lot about death. Well, guess what? It's gonna happen. And I don't wanna keep saying, if this happens or when this happens, live it now. Book the vacation now. Spend the time with your kids now. Get involved with your community now. Presence is what we have. We do not have the future and we do not have the past. And what you choose to do today, your future self will thank you for that. But you have to plant the seeds today.
So there's a story out now that your father tells, that when he took you out to Austin and introduced you to Gary Keller says she'll be running the Southeast region these days. Is that the true story?
So I, of course, was in Gary's presence before Gary knew who I was, because I was in his mastermind group. But then y'all might have heard about this thing called Command. Command was doing labs for teams, and I was like, I want to be on this. And so I don't know if you guys know David Voorhees, but he's kind of the guy that runs the labs group. And I had like a backdoor introduction to him, and I called him, I said, what do I need to do to get in this room? And he goes, well, we're actually meeting next week, and there's like 10 teams. It was Sarah Reynolds, Lance Logan, Ben Kinney, it was all the top names. And then like the Anna Kay In-Town team. We just didn't deserve to be in there, but I was like, I'm coming. He's like, well, come on. So I went, and I brought my operations manager with me, and we sat there and we were solving problems on user interface. My background is in information technology, so I had a little bit, I knew about technology, whatever. I think what Gary saw that day was I was in a small group of really powerful people, of leaders. And when we broke out into like little subgroups, I raised my hand and I wanted to lead the leaders. And he asked somebody in the room, he says, who is that? And somebody's like, Klinsky. He's like, Klinsky? Oh, wow. He like figured it out. He's like, he walks over at lunch, he says, come have a smoothie with me in my office for lunch. I'd like to get to know you. So we walked down to his office and we spent 30, 45 minutes there. And of course I was a complete disaster on the inside. I was like, what's he gonna ask me? Like he has like his snow globe collection and all of his guitars and like it's quite the office. And he just literally asked me, he's like, I'm his daughter. I was like, you were invited to my wedding, Gary. Because Bob is, obviously business partners with Gary. He's like, well, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. And then the next question he asked me, he goes, what's your dad's plan for succession? And I said, I don't know, Gary, you're gonna have to ask him that. Because I've never talked to my dad about business. None of that sounds crazy. He was like, oh, you know everything about Taylor Wiggins. I was like, nope, we are dad-daughter. Dad-daughter. He would know that our team might have been doing okay because he'd see us in the regional newsletters. Like, oh, I saw you were number 8 this month. Good job. And I was like, thanks, Dad. So Gary, I have a different relationship with Gary than my dad does. They grew up as partners for 25 years. And I was always in Gary's room as a top agent. And I do feel like if you're sitting in this room, and I'll say this out loud, our company needs, when I say young, I don't mean physical, I mean energetic. They need people with grit. They need people that have altruism and not ego. And they need people that can lead other people. So if you're looking for opportunity beyond your real estate business, this is the company where leaders thrive. And the speed of the leader, the speed of the pack. The company that has the best leaders wins. So if you're loving sales, crush that, but also recognize that there's an opportunity map in our company that allows you to be involved at a higher level. And I never considered that, but there was one day that I woke up and realized that selling real estate, I loved it. I was really good at it. I loved leading my team. I loved growing my team. But I knew in my gut that sitting on somebody else's couch in their living room and telling them that I was the one that needed to sell their house was not my life's purpose.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. There are some people that will be showing houses until they're in their grave and they love it. And I love that for you. But for me, I needed something bigger. You know, my team, I get 15 people to impact, but the region, I get 15,000. That just felt like a bigger platform. So I hope I brought you a tiny little ounce of value today. I'm always available for questions.
Quick question,
Yeah,
Joel,
yeah,
about
yeah.
anything.
About anything.
About anything, that's the question, come on, guys, I know you.
Except my parenting skills.
This is the quietest group's ever been, Alice.
Yeah? I must have stunned them all, I can
No,
tell.
we're thinking, we're thinking
Listen,
of smart questions.
You know what my superpower is?
Yeah.
My superpower is scratching beneath the surface.
Mhm.
I can come and talk to y'all about models and economics and all the stuff, but like I like to be a little bit of an agitator. I want you to leave feeling a little bit unsettled.
You succeeded.
I do. I want you to feel a little bit unsettled. Not fearful, but just a little more awake. A little more like, I never really asked that question. I'm gonna be straight with you. So Gary has asked and he asks it almost every mastermind. He says, who are you? And I've heard this a billion times. And then one day I'm sitting in his mastermind and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't hear anything he said for the next 48 hours. I had no notes. He gave me all these lists of questions, which are in his little podcast on the MRAA thing. I wrote down, who am I? Do you recognize how profound that question is? Like how big of a question that is? When I say who am I don't mean I'm Anna Kalinsky from Monroe, Louisiana. I was 7 pounds, 8 ounces. I'm Ford and Jones's mom. I'm Spencer's wife. I'm the Anna K in town team. I live in, Druid Hills. Like that is not who I am. But and I mean this, when I say unsettled, I left that mastermind and I'm about to get emotional. I literally, you know Chad Laracy?
Yes, I do.
Poor Chad was like my seatmate next to me and he's like this big like mountain man. I cried the entire way home. And he was like, I don't know what to do. Like, he was so sweet about it, but he was like, are you okay? And I was like, Chad, that's such a big question. And because I was ready to hear it. And there's gonna be some people in this room and all the things I said today, they're like, she brought some value, I guess, but whatever. But the next time you hear that question, it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. So I hope something you heard today, like just kind of was like that, not from a negative way, but that it is the catalyst that gets you to move into the direction that gives you the big life that you deserve. Because we are the company that supports that. So I'm a little more touchy-feely, let's get in kumbaya, I'll bring some crystals next time, it'll be great. But you can also call me for business questions because I did learn a thing or two in the last 20 years. But Gary has changed my life with this material, and I hope there's a little grain of sand that I've left with you that also helps you do the same.
I want them to get away though, guys. What's interesting is that most of us in the room would not take him a chance she took to call to say, how do I get in that room? Most of us would say, I can't get in that room because I don't deserve to be in that room. Anna Kalinsky called somebody that said, how do I get in there? So that in itself is a game changer. Y'all think, well, I can't take listings because guess what? There's no listings out there. Well, that's a lie from the pit of hell. It really is. So Anna, that you were willing to take that chance, now they could have said, no. I called Gary one time. I said, Gary, what's it going to take to get you to come to our office and be a speaker? He goes, well, I would love that, Jim. That's what I asked you. If I did it for you, I have to do it for everybody. But I asked the question. So ask the question, right?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah. And you can take that on a very granular level. There are gonna be sellers that say no.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to literally level set with them across that dining room table and just say, I appreciate that. You seem to be having some reservations, and it's usually because I either haven't explained something correctly or I didn't demonstrate my value. What do you need to hear or experience with me that turns that no into a yes? Because I really don't want to leave here without being in business with you. Sometimes you just get told no. And if you stop there because you got your feelings hurt, you made it personal, or you think you weren't good enough, well, that opportunity's gone. Don't be afraid to ask again. So.
Just a quick question. Having Anna K in town, here in East Cobb, what's some tips that or just some market insight that you can give us for what's going on in town?
In town's popping. I mean, like literally we had a listing get 105 over asking. We're still getting not I will say we're carrying more listings than we ever have, but also I have the perspective of what a normal market is. So like if you were to say like I don't even think we're carrying that many listings. We have 12 listings. I remember in 2010, 11, I think we were carrying somewhere between 25 and 35 listings. And I was not a top agent. Like I was not a big agent or a big team at the time. So imagine having to service those clients, that many, for that long. I had listings that were in the market for a year and a half. Okay, and how I didn't get fired for most of those was a miracle, but that was the expectation of the consumer. So today, there's a lot of opportunity to get in front of people that are already annoyed with their agent because their house didn't sell in 5 seconds. They know the interest rates are up, but they see that the inventory is down. They want to know why they're not a seller. But the truth is, if you don't have an offer, still in this market, I would say if you list on a Wednesday and you don't have an offer by Monday or the following Monday, there's a chance you're 5% overpriced at a minimum. So to have those conversations up front of here's what's gonna happen next, okay, seller, we'll take your price, but here's what's gonna happen if we do that. Here's the outcome. Are you willing to risk letting the market dictate your value versus being susceptible to a lower offer? Because now once you reduce, you've kind of dumped a little blood in the water, and now you're signaling to the consumer that you're a little bit more desperate. So do you think you're gonna get the same offer if you're a price reduction? So you're gonna walk them through that, right? So we're having more price reduction covered. And by the way, these are not little price adjustments. They're big price adjustments. 25 grand ain't gonna get it done. 25 grand at 7%, there's no difference. So, and again, I don't know what your average price point is, but I'm talking $50,000 to $100,000 price reductions on pretty much anything from like that $750,000 to $1.5 million range. If that makes any sense. But I will tell you, it is taking us longer to get to market. The urgency to get the house on the market is not as strong from the seller. So before, people were just like, they'd throw it up with 3 walls. They're like, well, I don't need a 4th wall, just get on the market. Now they're like, well, I need to get my landscaping, I need my painting, and I need, and so we're having to kind of walk through not only carrying the cost of handling all the vendors, the time frame it takes to get the market, but then also the servicing expense, the return on energy. Your listings are taking more. So be choosy about which listings you take, is what I'll try to say. Okay, don't air out that desperation of I need everything. You don't need everything.
Ariana, but we have to let you, head of the Southeast region, how do you see the NAR settlement gonna affect us ultimately?
Us as individuals or us as the company?
On both.
I think if you can be the attractor for other agents in our market, that you know how to have a conversation about value, you will outperform the market and you will attract talent to your team or talent to your marketplace. So Jillian was asking for who do I need to know? The people you need to write down on there are the people that are struggling with this conversation. Because at Keller Williams, you're not gonna leave here not knowing how to have that conversation. So COVID, 2020 to 2023, let's call it, with respect, we didn't have to demonstrate our value. We didn't have to do anything. I mean, I don't want to minimize that. Buyer agents were working really hard. But you're like, you don't need due diligence, you don't need finances. It was just like you were a door opener, you were a contract writer. We didn't really get to articulate our values. So now that the NAR settlement has come through, which by the way, am I missing it? It doesn't change that much. Okay, it doesn't change that much. They have really gotten inside of our heads. The biggest difference is that you as a buyer agent, which we should have all along, you have the buyer agency agreement, which is just a big no-no for not having one. Won't publicly shame anybody. But also, being able to tell somebody why you charge what you charge. Is there literally anybody in this world that gets to provide a service and throws out a fee and doesn't have to tell them why? No, what am I paying for? What do I get with you? So whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, if you have a menu of services, so by the way, we charge a lot more in our listings now, because we did the math. we figured out all the things that we do to take a listing and how we're different. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you want this in our track record, it costs X. Now, if you find the buyer and I don't have to take pictures and we're just bleh, then it's Y. Okay, so you don't have to charge one fee. You can charge variable things for the level of service you provide. So getting really good at that conversation. For Keller Williams agents, we have all the tools in the world. Value squared, if you've not taken it at least twice, the first time just to get the information and the second time to internalize it, you're missing it, right? I will also say, and this is the big push that I have for my team right now, I know leads, listings, leverage, but most of us still have 50% buyer business or more. Some of us 70%, right? Because buyers are like, oh, I just open house, I get buyers. If you have the listing, you control the market. If you have the listing, you control the eyeballs. If you have the listing, you control your fee. A lot easier. So anybody that's doing business should always be focused on driving listings, and the buyers are the byproduct of those actions. Does that make sense what I'm saying? We should not be lead generating for buyers. We should not be lead generating or paying for Zillow leads, and I'm not shaming anybody. You're paying for the wrong thing. If you're paying for leads, figure out how to get AdWords that bring sellers to your website, or create a MOFR, make offer for immediate response, and send it to your database that has a call to action around your home's value, or a cash offer, or a guaranteed offer. You need to create a reason for them to call. So if we can do those things, Keller Williams legitimately has an unfair share because there are a lot of brokers that are not gonna spend the time to educate their agents, mainly because they don't know what to do. They're not doing the research. They don't have a team of people telling them the breakdown of what this really means for our industry. But then being the safe haven for all the agents that are scared, and you all know this more than anybody, if you're co-oping with an agent that doesn't know how to have this conversation, how easy is it for you to get your fee added into the deal? It's a lot harder, right? So be the person that saves somebody else's career because you have the tools to educate them on how they can demonstrate their value. And now everybody has this kumbaya co-op. We're not having to beat the other agents over the head to explain if you increase the listing price to cover your fee, it's the same net to seller because some people can't do math, right? So we need to educate the industry. The onus is on us to do that, and I think Keller Williams will come out on top, hands down. Hands down.
All right, guys, anything else before we say thank you to Anna? Anything else
Yes,
for the burning
Anna.
question?
Yes.
All right, so you're doing all of this, you're a mom,
Yes.
right, of young kids.
Yes.
How does Anna Kay fortify herself?
It's a great question. I take really long showers. Yep, almost an hour. I take really long showers. I love to exercise. I have thinking time in the mornings. I've been getting up earlier. I know that I need to work out to be a good mom and a good wife. So my husband understands that I need to do that. And I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. A lot of them are a little bit more spiritual in nature. I was doing business books and leadership books for like 20 years. I got a little burnout on that, and now it's more about like, the universe and spirituality and presence and things that I think make me feel more grounded and joyful versus like the rush, the hustle culture, as they would say. And Gary did a big thing on this last year at Family Reunion, hustle culture versus happy culture. I don't think I'll ever lose my hustle, but I have to have the joy and the foundation before the hustle will ever mean anything for me. So you have got to carve out time for yourself. If you're not putting on your own oxygen mask, you're not gonna be a good anything, right? Yeah.
Who are
So.
you listening to? Best podcast?
Right now, actually, I'm listening to Andrew Huberman. Yeah, I listen to all things Andrew Huberman. And he's got a great one on sleep. Talked about sleep, so happy to send that around.
Anything else for her? Burning question, yes ma'am.
And when you got to real estate, who was the most influenced person who put you there, who thought about real estate career in your brain? And would you do the same to your kids?
I will, let me answer the first one first. So my dad never asked me to get into real estate. He never forced me to get into real estate. I was just a byproduct of his world. And by the way, he never sold real estate. So I grew up around agents, but he was never a real estate agent. He had a building business and he had done a bunch of investment properties, but then he was more like a broker, like a broker manager. So I am grateful that this is a choice that I made on my own. I feel like if I had to do it because of legacy, there would be resentment, right? So I teach my kids about money. I just started giving my 8-year-old an allowance. So we have a plan. You get $5 a week, buddy. You can put it in your cash register, which is gonna go down in value. You can put it in the bank, which might keep even value. You put it in savings, I'll double every dollar you put in there, or you can spend some or give it away. But we're gonna create a plan for your $5 a week. And so I'm talking to him about money, but not like, they're also 5 and 8, so I'm not like mapping out like the wealth building plan for investment property yet, like we're not quite there yet. And I will teach him that, but I'm not gonna require him to get into real estate. Now, he might have an internship at my team if he wants to do that, but if he wanted to go, sell race cars, then that's what he's gotta go do. Who was most influential in the business when I got in? So I was really stubborn and very independent, and I thought that I could just do it all on my own. And I tried that for a long time, and I ended up, it wasn't until year 3 that I hired a coach. It was Holly Prescott. You know Holly?
Oh, yes.
So Holly Prescott, she used to go around the country teaching MREA.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like my 3rd year or something, and I had just made like this is on the podcast that I did too with Jason, but I made like 110 grand that year. But I mean, talking about no personal well-being. Like I had no kids and I wasn't married, and I would wake up at like 6 a.m. and I would work until like 2 a.m. And I was just like systems and like I was just doing it all. Like I could take on, but I was burnt out. And I remember Holly said to me in true bold coaching fashion, MAPS coaching, she asked me what my goal was, and I think I was like 110 to 120, and she was like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna double it. And I remember hanging up on her and then firing her, because I was like, that was not gonna work for me. I was like, she obviously doesn't understand me. Like I have no more time. Like there's no way I could sell another person ever. Like this is crazy. But what Holly was doing for me was what I was asking you all earlier, is these bigger questions that get you to move your temperature to something bigger, right? Like the question I'm asking my team right now, we don't take 20 listings a week. We take maybe, on a good week, maybe we take 5, maybe we take 3, right? That's not a tremendous amount, but it sinks my team. It's a lot of work for my operations team. So I sit down with them and I say, what is the model and the system that we need to build such that we can take 20 listings a week? And if they can't figure that out, then we can't scale. So the question that you need to be asking yourself is, what are the habits that I need to build that are gonna take me to the moon in my business versus how am I just gonna get my rocket off the ground? Those are 2 different choices, right? You still need to build a rocket ship and get it off the ground to get to the moon, but the decisions that you're gonna make about your business if you're trying to get to the moon are different than if you're just trying to get lift off. That makes sense what I'm saying? So hire a coach. My coach changed my life. She's not my coach anymore, I have another coach, but it's not Holly's fault, it's my fault. Kate Patulski, she's amazing. You know Kate? Yeah.
You went from tough to.
Tougher.
Kicking the nuts. Yeah, but here's the thing, if you have a coach and they let you hide, you need to fire them. They're not your coach, it's your friend, it's your paid friend. Yeah, so get a coach. That's my answer.
Anybody else before you?
I'm so proud of y'all for all being here on this holiday week, like what a great
Let's
group.
give her a hand, give her a hand. We'll kick you into your next level. Call it more of a.
Yes,
Hey, thank you, Al. You guys enjoy your day. Thank you so much.
Happy 4th in Tulsi. I do. Yeah, I think it's great. You're in the place now. I guess so, I just.